Whoa, it's a cold morning today. We got a lot of wind. We're up above these tall trees. Not a huge amount of it reaches the ground, but the tops of the trees are waving. These are pretty trees we've got around here, but they do block the sun, so it decreases my gardening season. The cherry trees are not paying any attention to the cold though, and they're starting to bloom really nice. I've got 2 cherry trees here. I've got an apple that's blooming over there as well. I'm leaving all these blackberries for a visual barrier as well as the productivity. A lot of these are second year blackberries. They only last 2 years supposedly. Then the rest of them die off down below and they act as sort of a natural trellis for the remainder of the blackberries. Got some first years growing up here. I'm going to have to mow them down though. Got some lamb's quarters growing as well. That and dandelions. Dandelions are a crop that were imported when the settlers came in, and here's more lamb's quarters here. You can make a salad out of both of them. See those big long things that look like grass underneath the apple tree? Those are actually chives, green onions. A lot of people used to grow green onions under apple trees because they somehow work to get well together. And these are just, I never planted them, but they're growing happy as can be. So I'm leaving them. I just mow around them, and whenever I want a salad or an omelet, I just grab a bunch of those and throw them in. Good stuff. Good times. Yeah, these pretty cherry blossoms got me thinking about hate. Don't ask how I got there. Anyway, I was thinking about hate not too long ago, and it's sort of a mechanism that works within yourself, and it actually has a useful purpose. It can be misused, but it can also be, well, I wouldn't exactly call your friend, but let's call it a life preserver. Way back in the day when I was like 20, I was a complete social reject, and it was like I had a good deal of despair because of that. I was what they called TFL. But anyway, it was really sort of heartbreaking, and it made you both tired and sad and depressed and extremely lonely, and it was a real drag. Oh, my little salad garden's starting to pop up in spite of the cold. I haven't put those strawberries in yet. Anyway, back to hate. There was a time when I was like a real social reject and all that stuff, and it was a real drag. It was like very, very painful in a way that I haven't, thankfully, experienced for probably 15 years. But basically, I found I sort of hit upon the solution. If you're a complete social reject, you can and you're starting to feel a lot of that pain of being alone. I found that a little bit of hate can warm you. Like if your soul is like freezing, just a little bit of hate, enough of it, properly introduced, will keep you from freezing So you'll be able to keep putting one foot in front of the other until you can find a better time in your life, as I have. So that's one use for hate. But of course, hate can be misused. And I'm sure we've all seen it. If you have an MRA channel and you've made a video or two, you will run into people who don't have a lot going for them, and men or women, and they can just become a real thorn in your side, just hating on you. Just trying to do shaming language and trying to give you a really bad time. And it's because I think it's because they want to feel anything except the total destitute, paralyzing, weakening loneliness and despair that they usually must feel, right? So I don't know if they're aware of it, but their anger is something that is, I guess it's just better than nothing, according, from their perspective. But so that's basically, hate it can be useful, it can preserve your life, it can give you focus and allow you the energy, or allow you to release the energy in your life to build useful systems, to create a good career, and basically it allows you to sort of survive being a total reject, right? And I basically I'm a big fan, not a huge fan of that, but if you're in that situation where you're just like, oh man, I cannot hardly even keep going, I'm so like lonely or sad or whatever, and I mean, if you can find it within yourself to just summon up a little bit of hate, I think that it can give you the strength to keep going. Now, I kind of hate to sound like the Emperor on Empire Strikes Back, or what was it? Return of the Jedi. He was saying, your hate has made you powerful. But there is something to be said for that, right? For example, one of my coworkers back in one of my earlier diesel shops was a member of a certain religion, and basically the owners of the diesel shop were also a member of that religion, and they were sort of tight, as far as like their church and everything goes. And the person who was put in charge of the shop was not qualified, not even close to qualified to do the job. He eventually did learn sort of what he was doing, but it was pretty embarrassing when he started out, because he was like not qualified. Anyway, one of the other mechanics, a mobile service guy, he really didn't like that guy. I mean, that guy was like the epitome of everything wrong with that clique, that organization. And he just freaking hated him, and he butted heads with him periodically, but apparently his father was higher up in the church than his was or something, and therefore he was just a mechanic, while the other guy was a general manager of the whole freaking shop, right? Well, anyway, he spent then a few years building a business and gathering clients, and eventually he reached the point where he was able to quit his mechanic job and go into business for himself as a sort of a mobile service outfit, right? And making more money too. And then when he quit, or after close to when he was quitting, he vented to the rest of us mechanics, right? And he was saying, "Oh, I had some bad times with him, but But I still love him as a brother in the church, and it was getting so deep that I just couldn't stand it anymore. And I said, no, you don't love him. You friggin' hate him. And the reason, and that was a good thing, right? And he was saying, oh, and earlier he had been saying something like, oh, and love is the reason why I do everything. I'm just totally motivated by love. And he was just so completely wrong about himself that I just had to say something. And then finally I said, it wasn't love which gave you the power, the strength, and the motivation to build that business and get those clients and work all that time and energy and put the money into building your service truck. And it wasn't love that gave you that power. It was hate. and right about then he was starting to back off a little bit, going, no. And I was saying, it was hate. Hate gave you that power. It was your rage. and I found that it's kind of nice to be able to shoot down somebody's BS if they start really looking at their whole life with rose-colored glasses, like they're all this good person and everything. But anyway, so back to, so the next time you see one of these feminist trolls or or one of these other trolls, like, well, I think you guys know a few of them. You gotta kind of look at what their life is, and it's probable, very probable, that they just want some kind of emotional connection, right? They're like totally freaking by themselves and completely rejected, and they freaking completely are really just like complete losers in career and everything, and a total reject socially, and they have no emotional connection with anybody, right? And that's one thing about hate. Maybe it's not really healthy to dwell on it, right? Or use too much of it, but hate is an emotional connection. And if you know, right, that there is no way you're ever going to get any kind of positive feelings or positive sentiment from somebody you might actually secretly sort of admire, especially. If you know that you're not going to get any of that and you're starting to feel really depressed, a lot of these people might just start having that hate reflex come out and give them, I guess, the motivation to I guess it's just like it isn't a healthy emotional connection. And if you sort of admire somebody and you know you're never going to get any kind of positive response from that person, it's perfectly understandable why you might start being kind of negative to that person. And hate, right, is not, sometimes in a way it can sort of substitute for an emotional connection, right? It's not very healthy, as I was saying, but it is a connection, even if you can't share anything positive with somebody, well, maybe you can share hate. That's probably what motivates some of those people. And I am not above this completely, right? There's been a couple of situations where some beautiful woman is talking about, and I'm just manifesting some kind of positive vibration so that I can attract so-and-so something into my life, right? And I had to chime in. I said, Well, you know, if I was a hot 30-something beautiful blonde chick, there's quite a possibility that I might be able to manifest a nice trip to Hawaii too. But since I am a guy and I'm not terribly attractive, the chances of my being able to do that are just about zero. So if I want a trip to Hawaii, I have to bust my ass and work for it. Oh, I can get that trip to Hawaii, but I ain't going to be manifesting shit. I'm going to have to bust my ass, save my money, plan for it, and then do it. No manifesting for me. But, so that was kind of a negative thing, right? And part of it might be that I responded that way, might be that I think she is cute, and there's no way I would ever have any kind of positive thing with that person, so therefore I threw a little bit of negativity in that direction. Or maybe a little bit of, I'm not sharing your vibe sentiment. But anyway, so basically to sum up, I think that hate is it's what they call sublimation. You're basically replacing something with something that isn't as good, but it'll do for now, right? Sublimation. And you basically, some people who know that they're not going to get love, even if they tried, they could just supplement the love for a little bit of hate, right? And that keeps the despair and everything away. So the next time you see a really lame-ass troll just trolling the shit out of your comments or your videos, there is a possibility that that's what they're doing. They might just be so freaking destitute, emotionally destitute, that they have to do something just to keep the despair away. And it might be a way to sort of be a little bit more understanding. I mean, you'll still block their ass, but at least you won't have to, at least you can kind of sort of understand where they're coming from. And I find that if you can understand the mechanism for something that's unfortunate and why it occurs, it makes it not quite as horrific. So, hate can be a motivator. Hate can be a way of keeping despair away. In some people, they might just stop eating and just lay down and die if they couldn't summon up a little bit of hate to get them through the day, right? But other people, and other people, they might supplement the hate for the emotional connections that they know they can't have, right? And then other people use the hate to give them the strength to go on and do very important, great things or useful things, very productive things. And so, hate might not be a totally negative emotion. It might be, I think it's kind of an important emotion for people to have, but if you use it incorrectly, just like it's sort of an emotional fuel, and you can run on it, but it's not the best. It's not the best fuel. It's hard on your engine, and it will, basically destroy you after a while if you don't use it wisely. So, if you feel that hate, just sort of manage the hate and be aware of how you're feeling. And if it gets to the point of toxicity, you've got to find a way to vent some of it or let some of it go, and just keep enough around to give you the motivation to be efficient in your life and find yourself a better way of life. And I found it very useful for that. So, well, enough of that rambling. So, later, guys.